Hello, good evening. Welcome to this channel. My name is Orete and would like us to talk about program development stages. So this is a subtopic in Introduction to Programming in Structured or Pascal Programming Module 1. So as you all know, for a program to be complete or to be able to function as expected, it must have to undergo some stages. And these stages is what we are going to talk about. Before we talk about the stages involved in program development, I would like us to define some terms. And one of the terms we are looking at is programming. So programming refers to the process of writing a set of coded instructions that can be interpreted and executed by a computer in order to solve a particular task. The second term is computer programming, and it is the process of planning a sequence of events for a computer to follow in order to perform a particular task. So this infographic shows an image of a computer with output devices, that is the monitor or the screen and the printer. It shows the input devices, that is the keyboard and the mouse. Then we have the storage device, then the system unit. The last term we are defining is program development, and this is the process of creating a software. A software, on the other hand, is a set of logical and mathematical operations that manipulate and control the hardware components of a computer system to accomplish a particular goal or provide a desired functionality. For instance, we have the application and the system software. Let's have a look at this image, which contains the examples of system and application software. I'm able to see an Android image. I'm able to see Skype, YouTube, Chrome, and other images that shows the system and the application software. This other image shows the several stages that needs to be performed for a computer program to be able to function, and one of them is identifying and gathering requirements. The second one is planning. The third one is designing. The fourth stage is implementation. The fifth is testing. The sixth stage is deployment. And the last one, which is the seventh, is maintenance. So we'll begin with the first stage, and that is problem recognition. So this is the process of identifying the problem that the program is going to solve. This means that before you start creating or developing a software or a system, you'll have to identify and gather information or data that your program will need for it to solve the required problem as expected. The second stage is problem definition or problem analysis, and this is where the programmer tries to determine the likely input, the processing activities, and the expected output. The likely input, that is the data that you've gathered in the beginning or in stage one, and the output is the expected result. The third stage is program design. And this is the process of developing algorithms based on the input, processing instructions, and the output identified in stage number 2 above. That is problem analysis using tools like flowcharts and pseudocode. The fourth stage is program coding. This is the process of translating the algorithm into the equivalent program, i.e., by typing a program using a particular programming language like C, Python, Visual Basic, and other languages depending on your understanding and your comfortability with the language. The fifth stage is program testing and debugging. So, testing is the checking or ascertaining whether the program is working as intended and that it performs the expected functions accurately. After you've coded, we'll have to do some testing to check whether your program is really doing the required function or it is doing what you expected. Then debugging, and debugging is the process of detecting and correcting errors that may exist in a program. So in the process of testing, you'll have experienced some errors that may exist in your program, and that is due to debug. When you debug, you'll be able to know what type of errors your program is having or facing. We have types of errors that may exist in a program or in a software. One of them is syntax errors. So these are errors that occur due to improper use of language rules. For instance, grammar mistakes, improper naming of variables. The second error is logical errors, and these errors are errors that are not detectable by the compiler, and they make a program to run but gives the wrong results, i.e., they occur when a program does not perform its assigned duties as expected. So you see logical errors, your program can run, but the results may not be the one you expected. The third error is runtime error, and these are errors that makes a program to stop executing abruptly. For instance, when the memory space may not be enough. And these case of runtime errors are errors that we have ever experienced with our phone, machines, or other electric gadgets. They may function or they may stop executing programs, or applications may fail due to insufficient memory space. So now we're having the methods of detecting the errors that we've looked at. One of the method is dry running or desk checking. So this involves going through the program while still on paper before keying it into the program editor window. So this means you're going to write your codes on paper, going through it, cross-checking the errors that may be able to appear, and you go through it and check well before you enter the coding into the editor window. The second method is by use of debugging utilities. And debugging utilities are written software in the machine that evaluate the program to identify the various syntax errors. So these are utilities in the program and they are able to detect the errors automatically. The third method is by use of test data like normal, abnormal, and extreme data. And this involves carrying out trial runs on the new program by entering data variations and extremes to test whether the system will hold. The sixth stage is program implementation. This is the actual delivery and installation of the new program ready for use, and it also involves the training of the end users on how to use the program. This means after you've created your program or you've developed it, you now implement by making installations and training the users on how they are going to use the same program you've developed. The seventh stage is program review and maintenance. So this is a stage that takes place during and after implementation. It entails debugging errors that occur while running the program or making any other revisions that may arise due to the changes of the user needs. So the user needs may change or may require some modifications. In the process of reviewing, you'll be able to come up with a way of debugging the errors that may exist, or during implementation, you are able to do some revisions due to the expansion of the user needs or due to the expansion of your program. After stage number 7, which is the last one, we have documentation. And this is the process of writing a formal support material that will explain, one, how the program was developed, two, how it can be used by the users, three, how it can be installed by operators, and four, how it can be modified by other programmers. So in this process, you're going to develop a manual or a written support material that will enable the users to use your software correctly and as you expected as a programmer. Then we have types of documentations, and one of them is user-oriented documentation. So this documentation enables the user to learn how to use the program quickly with little help from the program developers. This means that the user-oriented documentation is specially made for the users to enable them to use the program, and whenever they experience some difficulties or some challenges, they will be able to contact the program developers for them to be given the documentation. The second type of documentation is operator-oriented, and it is meant for computer operators to help them install and maintain the program. So this is a documentation specially made for the computer operators, which contain the installation and maintenance processes or information. The third type of documentation is programmer-oriented, and it is a detailed documentation for skilled programmers to help them with technical information on future modification of the program. As I had said earlier, some user needs may need to be expanded or may need to be changed or may need to be modified. So this programmer-oriented documentation enables the programmer with the technical information for them to be able to change or to modify the same program or the software. So that is all about the stages involved in program development. And I hope at the end of this, someone is able to come up with a functioning or a working system as I have provided the stages required. I have been your presenter, Orete Nancy. Thank you for your time. May you have a blessed evening. Thank you.